if you brought in a campaign pro, from Dover could come in and say, you know, these numbers have a little empathy adjustability to them. If we soften and warm up the message and or control the messenger, we can probably work on these numbers. That would be said, I guess, in normal times and in a normal White House environment, Gene?
That's absolutely right, and there are a lot of things that a normal president seeking reelection would be doing at this time to try to make up that ground. And one thing he would be doing is reaching out, trying to expand his coalition, trying to expand beyond his base and attract the votes of independents, of the sort of Obama-Trump voters. He'd be trying to make sure he keeps them. The president's doing none of that. He's doing no sort of outreach that would bring more voters to his side. He's just solidifying his relationship with his base, and his base is big, but it's not big enough. It's just not big enough to win the election. And if that's all he does, I don't see how he wins.
So, Tamara, Eugene has nicely raised the hood on the re-election campaign. Let's work on the engine. Tell us about your new reporting on what this mid-pandemic virtual campaign season is going to look like for each campaign as far as you've gathered.
Right. So my colleague Asma Khalid and I have been reporting. We spent a week fully immersed in these virtual campaigns, and they are very different. And they have a very different theory of the case about how to win. And as Eugene said, the Trump campaign is really all about the base. They've built this ecosystem for Trump supporters that, you know, doesn't replicate completely the rally experience, but it certainly gives supporters a place to go. They have this new app that sucks you in and is gamified, and really, as one consultant described it, if you keep them outraged, you keep them engaged. And a lot of what the Trump messaging is about is keeping his base riled up so that they'll go vote for him, and also trying to find people who look like his base, act like his base, but maybe didn't vote last time to get them to vote again. The Biden campaign is sort of casting a wider net, trying to find new voters, trying to find those people in the suburbs who voted for Trump last time, but are maybe frustrated or scared because of the coronavirus now, and might be willing to flip back to the Democratic side. And you know, the Trump campaign, as they've said, they have a Death Star. The Biden campaign is saying, well, we're the Rebel Alliance, and yes, we're smaller. We don't have the sophisticated digital presence that the Trump campaign has, but they're trying to find the flaw in the Death Star.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.